back to Ice Talk with Hannah. I am your host, Hannah, and today we are going to do a special quick little preview of Japanese nationals. This is going to be the first national of the season that has some pretty interesting developments happening, considering, of course, the Japanese women. There are multiple teams that they could send to Worlds, and they could sweep the podium. So it's a pretty deep field this season in women and men. I'm not going to talk about ice dance in pairs because there's only like a couple of competitors in each of those disciplines, and we kind of know how that's going to go. But women and men are definitely a hot topic and an interesting conversation to have. So we're going to dive right into the women. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about kind of how I think the event will go, but I will mostly talk about the conversation of the world team. So keep in mind that the Japanese field is so deep that there are 2 skaters or possibly 3 skaters that competed at the Grand Prix final that will not get to compete at Worlds. And the Grand Prix final is usually commonly seen as the top 6 in the world, the likely top 6 at Worlds. However, this will not be the case because it was 5 Japanese women, but only 3 can go. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a bloodbath. Japanese Nationals has a little bit of a history of being an absolute, mind my language, I'm sorry, mom, shit show. So I don't think that this is going to be anything different because I think the Japanese women tend to be a little bit shaky under pressure. That's kind of what we saw at the Grand Prix final, and they will continue to probably be shaky here. But with that being said, here is the conversation of that Japanese women's world team. First things first, I think it's really going to be a 5 to 6 way battle for the 3rd spot. I think the first 2 spots are pretty set in stone, with the first spot going to probably Kaori Sakamoto and the second spot going to Mone Chiba. So if I'm remembering correctly, when it comes to the Japanese Skating Federation, when they're choosing their world team, they are somewhat well known for really taking into account the body of work of the season. And the Japanese nationals, while it is important, I think they prefer really to look at someone who had maybe a fluke bad skate at nationals over someone who had a fluke good skate at nationals. Because when you think about it, the one that has a fluke bad skate at nationals, it could have just been a random bad skate if they've been skating well all season, while someone who has a fluke good skate at nationals, it could have been a fluke good skate, and they've proven that they're just not that consistent. So anyway, I think Kaori Sakamoto, even though she hasn't had that consistent of a season and has been all over the place, they would be crazy to not send her, honestly. I think she has a ton of wiggle room here at nationals. She could probably finish in like 7th or 8th place and still get sent to Worlds. Them not sending her would be a death nail for the Japanese team, in my opinion, because when it comes down to it, she is the reigning 3-time world champion. She has the highest scoring capability with her component scores, and I think that she's going to go to Worlds, and she's going to skate well enough to at least be on the podium, if not to win her 4th world title in a row. She will go to Worlds no matter what she does here, in my opinion. And Mone Chiba is someone who I think kind of is in the same boat as her. Mone has been by far the most consistent skater for the Japanese women this season. She's been fairly consistent. She put up a 2:12 at NHK Trophy, a 2:11 at Cup of China, and a 2:08 at the Grand Prix final. So obviously it's been like slowly going down a little bit, but I don't think that's really anything to be worried about. She has been by far the most consistent Japanese skater this season. I think she's locked in her ticket. I think, again, the Japanese Skating Federation would be kind of silly to not send her because she's been constantly putting out scores over 70 in the short, over 140 in the free, and she's only gone over 200 on the Grand Prix. So she will solidly be that 2nd spot. I think something absolutely insane would have to happen, like her coming in behind these other 5 skaters that I'm about to talk about in order for her to not get sent to the team. But not only do I think when it comes to her body of work, the Japanese Skating Federation is just more likely to send her depending on where she ends up here, I think she is also the most likely to end up on the podium with Kaori and Mao Shimada. Now, keep in mind, Mao Shimada, I'm not going to be talking about because she is too young to qualify for the senior international circuit until the year after the Olympics. When she qualifies, though, she's going to be a force to be reckoned with, but she will probably either win this event or come in second, depending on how Kaori does. I think Mone will be that third person on the podium, and I think she's the most likely to still go here and skate 2 clean programs because she's proven this season that she's really solid, that she's ready to skate 2 clean programs. So I think not only does she have that consistency to carry her on to the world team if something crazy happens here, I still think she's the most likely to skate clean here out of pretty much every other woman that is capable of getting on that world team. So with that being said, my prediction for the podium at Japanese Nationals is going to be Kaori Sakamoto in first, Mao Shimada in second, and Mone Chiba in third. And then of course Kaori and Mone will be sent to the senior world team, Mao to the junior world team, where she will probably win once again. And that's a pretty, to me, cut and dry thing, but figure skating has definitely proven me wrong all season long, so who knows what'll happen. Japanese Nationals has the tendency to be a little bit crazy. The one thing I want to say about Kaori, too, is that she consistently does a lot better in Japan. She seems to really just thrive with her home audience on home soil, so I think she's going to be A-okay. I think she'll do something similar to what she did at NHK Trophy, where she, of course, scored a 231. So, yeah, she'll probably win this event, and it'll be cut and dry for her. Okay, but that third world team spot is the big debate here. In my opinion, there are 5 skaters that are fairly equal in their capability of getting on that world team. And then there is one underdog that I'm going to talk about at the end. But keep in mind, the underdog that I'm thinking of would literally have to go and skate 2 clean programs and hope for all other 5 skaters that I'm about to mention to just kind of fall apart, which I just don't think is going to happen here. Like I said, Japanese Nationals can tend to be quite a mess. However, I don't think it's going to be that much of a mess. I'm still going to talk about her at the end. So I'm going to do this in order of, in my opinion, likelihood to make it to the world team. And I'm going to start with Wakaba Higuchi. So I think out of the 5 skaters I'm about to talk about, she has proven herself the most with being quite consistent this season. Yes, she's had quite a few small mistakes, those under rotations, those step outs. But when it comes down to it, the bad short program at the Grand Prix final, where she was in 6 out of 6 after the short program, was the anomaly of this season. She has been very consistent and very solid, and I think she's in the right mindset heading into this event to go out and skate 2 clean programs. She's been talking all season about her goal of being on that world team. That could be a curse, but I think it's more likely to be a blessing. I think she's very determined to be on that world team, and I think the stars are aligning for her a bit when it comes to all the other women that are also capable of getting on that world team. She has had the best season, she has had the best numbers, and she has also had the best ranking because, of course, she came in first at Skate America with a 196, so it was iffy. She did break 130 in the free, but it was a very low 130, so And then she came in second at Grand Prix de France with a 206. So she had over 200 points at both of those events. And keep in mind, she also won the free skate there with a 139. A 139 is a very solid score that can absolutely get you on the world podium. And then at the Grand Prix final, because of the rough short program, she wasn't able to break 200, but she did score a 195, almost a 196. So still fairly solid. I think that she just needs to go out and skate 2 clean programs, which I think is the name of the game for all of these skaters that are kind of on the cusp for that third spot. I think both Kaori and Mone have a little bit of wiggle room because of how well they've done this season and just their reputation so far. The rest really are relying on their ability to go out and skate 2 clean programs. Wakaba has the most consistency to help out. I think that not only will she have, a little bit more support from the selection committee to get sent to Worlds if she were to make a couple mistakes here, I think she also is the most likely to go out and skate clean, or at least mostly clean. So it's also a little bit of just a personal reasoning. I am such a big fan of Wakaba. I have been for a while. She has a reputation from before she, got injured and started missing events and that sort of thing. And of course, she also has a world silver medal. She was the silver medalist at the 2018 World Championships. So she is absolutely capable of getting on that world team and being competitive for a medal there. Whatever happens, I just want her to skate really well here at Nationals and see what happens. But I think her chances of getting on that world team are surprisingly quite high. Next, I'm going to kind of go down the line at the Grand Prix final. We have Hana Yoshida. Now, Hana is someone who definitely is also capable of being on that world team. She was on the world team last season. She is known for being pretty consistent, and she has been this season. She's had a few mistakes here and there, but she hasn't had any major meltdowns. So she definitely has the capability. The one thing for Hana is, I said it for the Grand Prix final, I'll say it here, her skating skills are just not quite up to par with the rest of the Japanese women that I'm talking about here. So she has to rely on everyone else not skating clean and her skating perfectly clean to get on that world team. Something to also note, if the committee is looking at her scores for the season, she has not broken 70 in the short program. She's only broken 130 once in the free skate, and it was low 130s, and she has not broken 200 in the free skate. So even if she is able to go to nationals and skate perfectly clean, the committee is still going to look at her international scores, and if she's not breaking 270 and 130, she's not going to place well at Worlds. Worlds, we're looking at possibly even like the top 10 breaking 200. That's just kind of, you have to be in that 200 mark to be competitive at Worlds. In the women's field, just in general, like if you want to be on podiums at Grand Prix, 200 is that kind of baseline that you need to hit, and she hasn't been able to do that this season. She was at the Grand Prix final on luck alone, being at two of the weaker events this season. So she will have to not only skate perfectly clean at this event, she will also need to hope for major mistakes from many of her competitors to get on that world team. But both are likely when it comes to Japanese nationals. The next skater who is capable of getting on that world team is Rino Matsuike. She was, of course, the fifth and final skater at the Grand Prix final representing Japan, where she finished in 6th place. Rino is, in my opinion, of these Grand Prix final competitors, the absolute least likely. While I absolutely love and adore her skating, she has yet to put out a clean short program. She hasn't even broken 65 in the short program yet. And while she has scored over 130 in the free skate twice with a solid, very solid 139 at Skate Canada and a 134 at Finlandia, she has yet to break the 200 mark overall because that short program keeps dragging her down. So heading into nationals, there's two things going against her, and it both has to do with the short program woes that she's been having. One, her likelihood of skating a clean short program at nationals is lower than the others because she has literally yet to do that. And two, even if she does go out and skate 2 clean programs here, the selection committee is going to look at what she's done all season and go, are we comfortable sending someone who's been so unreliable this season to Worlds? Yes, her capability at Worlds is very high. I think it's higher than Hana. She absolutely is capable of being on the podium. I don't think Hana is at Worlds. However, Rino is just not able to go out and put 2 clean programs together. So I love her. I love both of her programs. I think they're gorgeous. I've talked about how much I love her skating. I just don't think that she's going to be able to break through even if she skates 2 clean programs, just because she's kind of shot herself in the foot for this season with this short program just having so many issues. But that being said, she still is, in my opinion, a little bit higher of a chance from the ones who have not made it to the Grand Prix final, because she at least has the fact that she qualified for the final in her arsenal, depending on how this event goes. Okay, so now that we've gone out of the skaters that competed at the Grand Prix final, there are 2 more skaters that definitely have a decent chance at getting to the world team if these competitors start to falter. And first is going to be Rion Sumiyoshi. Now, Rion is a personal favorite of mine, and it's also important to note that her combined scores from her 2 Grand Prix was higher than Hana and Rino, but she got unlucky with her assignments, having 2 of the most difficult events of the season with Grand Prix de France and Cup of China, which just kind of pushed her down. She scored over 200 points at the Grand Prix de France and took home the bronze medal. And then she scored over 200 points again, scoring even a point higher at the Cup of China, but was only able to manage 4th because of how competitive that event was. So Rion would have been at the final if she pretty much competed anywhere other than the 2 events she had, but that's how the Grand Prix final works. It sucks. It is what it is. And that is automatically setting her back a little bit heading into the Japanese nationals. She has to skate beautifully clean with the quad in order to get on that world team. There is literally no other answer for her. She not only has to skate 2 clean programs, she has to hope for more mistakes from her other competitors. Because like I said, the Japanese Skating Federation is known for looking at that body of work, and while her scores have been higher, she didn't make the Grand Prix final, which is going to be a big deal when it comes to that selection option. So while I think that she definitely has higher capabilities than both Hannah and Reno, she just is going in with a disadvantage because of not qualifying for that final. However, I do think the Japanese Skating Federation is very smart when they pick their team, so they could be looking at her scores rather than her placements, and if she skates clean here, while others do skate clean, I still could see her get sent to the team because I think she's definitely capable of being on that world team. So we will see. I'm a personal big fan of hers as well. I love her skating skills. She skates with so much joy, and I'm really, really hopeful that she can go and skate clean here and maybe spoil for that team. I really, honestly, my 2 loves, like my heart says I want them on the world team, would be Wakaba and Rion. But I don't think there's any universe that can exist where both of them make it onto the team. Our final member of the 5 that I think, while it's not completely equal, they all have a decent chance of being that 3rd team member. We have Rinka Watanabe. However, Rinka by far of these 5 is at the most disadvantage. So similar to Hannah, she has not broken 70 in the short program. She has not broken 130 in the free skate, and she has not broken 200 overall. The only thing really going for her headed into this event is she has a bit of a reputation, and she still was on the podium at one of her events. But she was silver at Skate America. Skate America was kind of a weak event when it comes down to it, so I love Rinka, but I think her likelihood is very low. In fact, looking at these scores, I might move her just into the dark horse and keep those other 4 as the rotating option of who that 3rd spot is going to be. And she's just going to end up being a solid dark horse. If she skates 2 perfectly clean programs and everyone else completely falls apart, she definitely has a chance. But I think even then, the Japanese Skating Federation is going to look at her scores and her placements and go, meh. And then finally, a personal favorite of mine and someone who I think is absolutely a dark horse is Yuna Aoki. I just love her skating. Someone tweeted once that her skating is like the kind of skating that just itches that part of your brain that makes you feel good. And that's how I would describe her. I think she is such a stunning skater. She looks so happy out there. She connects to her music so well. I think she even choreographs her programs, and they're so well done. Absolutely love and adore her. But she did come in 7th at Skate America, where she finished with a 183. So, like, that's, I think, by far the lowest that the Japanese women have put out on the Grand Prix circuit this season. But she was able to manage bronze at NHK Trophy with a 195. But kind of the same thing for her. She hasn't been able to break 70 in the short or 130 in the free or 200 overall. So again, those scores, you have to be able to get all 3 of those in order to be a solid contender at Worlds, and she has just not been able to do that. So she would also have to hope for just an absolute total mess of an event and 2 clean programs from her, and for the selection committee to put a blindfold on and base it completely off of nationals, which I just don't think is going to happen. So my final predictions for the world team is going to be Kaori Sakamoto, Mona Chiba, and Wakaba Higuchi. But really that 3rd spot can be, there's many, many women that can really step up to the plate and take that. I just think based off of history of how the Japanese Skating Federation selects their members, that's the most likely, and that's what I want. But anything can happen. Japanese Nationals is always a wild ride, so we will see how it goes. Okay, moving on really quickly to the men. So kind of similar for the men, I think we have 2 spots that are pretty much locked, and that is Yuma Kageyama and Shun Sato. Maybe a little bit less than the women. Shun Sato, I think, is a little bit less of a lock as Mona Chiba is for that 2nd spot in the women. However, I think that he has definitely proven himself, and I think that him winning the technical score in the free skate at the Grand Prix final and winning that bronze medal was kind of the ticket punched for the world team. He just needs to make sure he goes out and skates 2 fairly clean programs. Unlike the women, I don't think your ticket is 2 clean programs because the men is always a bit more of a mess. It's more about how many quads you can get in, and if your technical base value can just carry you through like the small mistakes that you make. He still needs to be careful, but I think it's very likely that he will easily be the second member of the team. Yuma Kageyama is an absolute lock. Even if he were to skate very poorly here, he would still go to that World Championships. He can definitely challenge Ilya Malinin for the gold medal there, but I don't know if he'll be able to, just because I think Ilya will be definitely better than he was at the Grand Prix final. But Yuma's gonna go. He's gonna skate probably 2 fairly clean, if not completely clean, and win the entire event. Shun Sato, I think, while I'm not exactly sure what he's gonna do because he still is a bit of an inconsistent skater, I think he still will easily be on that world team. I think he'll be on the podium here and he will easily go. As far as that third spot, there's a few names, but I think Kao Miura has the highest chances. Kao, of course, won the bronze medal at Skate America with a very solid 278, which, keep in mind, he scored a 99 in the short program there and a 178 in the free skate. Those are 2 very, very, very good scores, capable of winning a world medal. I think that the only thing that is hindering him heading into this is 1, he didn't qualify for the final, and 2, his free skate at NHK Trophy, where he scored a abysmal 137. For men, that is an awful score. He came in 11th in the free, but he scored a 102 in the short program. So, like, he's so capable. Men is a little bit interesting. I think it's pretty set in stone for those 3. The only thing is Kao just could have another meltdown in the free skate, and if he has that second meltdown here, the federation is going to be kind of like, are you going to do that at Worlds too? Because we're starting to see a trend here, and we're worried. So I think that that's going to be your 3. I don't see anything changing. However, there's a few names that could definitely step up to the plate if Kao or Shun really leave the door open. Some other names to keep an eye on, but I don't think we'll really be able to break that top 3, would be Koshiro Shimada. I personally love him. He looks so happy when he's skating. Like, he genuinely just looks happy to be there. So I'm hopeful for him to at least skate well here. Maybe go to the 4 continents or something like that. Nozomu Yoshioka was also okay this season. Sota Yamamoto got unlucky at Skate Canada because he finished 3rd in both of his events but ended up 4th overall just because of how the scores ended up being. So that was kind of tough. He's always a player in the game. I think he would be the most likely to end up on the team if Shun or Kao were to really just kind of fall apart here. So he could definitely be there. But I think when it comes down to it, Shun and Kao have a higher chance at skating well at this event. So Sota is someone to keep an eye on. We also have Kazuki Tomono, also a solid skater, but was only able to manage 5th at the Grand Prix de France and 6th at Finlandia Trophy, so he still has a little ways to go. We have Tatsuya Tsuboi, who finished 3rd at the NHK Trophy, really solid, could also kind of push Kao out because Kao did come in 6th at NHK Trophy, so he's already placed better than him. But that's kind of it. I guess that's all I really have to say about the men. Again, I always tell people I'm way more into the women's event at these events than any of the other disciplines. I think men is a little bit more cut and dry because I think those 3 will get named to the team barring disaster, but there are a few that can step up through an open door if it's left open. But I think because Shun was able to manage that bronze medal at the final, I think that was kind of him punching his ticket to the world team, honestly. And then Kao just needs to really go out there and do what we know he's capable of, just not have that meltdown like he had in the free skate at NHK Trophy. So that's what my expectation is for the men. I think it'll be Yuma 1st, Shun 2nd, and Kao 3rd. But that is kind of it. I think this event is going to be very exciting. It is happening pretty much overnight for me, so I'm not going to be able to watch it live. I'll have to look up the scores after it's already happened, as per usual, since Japan is 16 hours ahead of me. But I'm really looking forward to this. This is truly the first nationals of the season that really is going to be very, very interesting because both women and men have major players not only for the world podium, but also a world title. So we will see. It's going to be a great event. I will recap it at some point after the event happens. Probably will take me a little while to do so since this is the weekend before Christmas that it's happening and I have a lot going on, but we will see what happens. But that is it for today's episode. If you like this, don't forget to download the podcast to your device that you are listening to this podcast on. You can also catch the video version on YouTube at Hannah Malay is my YouTube handle on there. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment your thoughts on who you think is going to end up on that world team for Japan in the comment section. You can also follow me on social media. I am at Hannah Malay on Instagram, but I warn you that is mostly cosplay and anime related stuff. And also you can follow me on X at HannahSkates96 for all of my skating thoughts that I throw into the ether. But with that, thank you so much for listening in, and I will see you all after Nationals. Bye!